July 11th, 1996, Knoxville, Tennessee. A construction worker, while working his usual shift, discovers a dead body in a parking lot. He's half-dressed, barefoot, and surrounded by thousands of dollars in mixed currency, US, Canadian, and German bills scattered around him. No weapon, no witnesses, no clear cause of death. Just bruises, scratches, and a head injury. His name? Blair Adams. A man who, just days earlier, believed someone was after him. Told friends and family he was in danger, saying, "They're trying to kill me," but never explained who they were. In the days leading up to his death, Blair had been acting strangely. He emptied his bank accounts, withdrew everything in cash, and tried to flee Canada, not once, but multiple times. He abandoned cars, bought last-minute plane tickets, and took a bizarre, erratic route to the United States, as if he was desperately trying to escape something or someone. Then, just 12 hours after checking into a Knoxville motel, he was found dead. His valuables untouched, his body left in the open, half-dressed and barefoot. The question is, what was Blair Adams running from? And more importantly, why was he found dead lying half-naked in a parking lot, surrounded by money, with no clear cause of death? Blair Adams wasn't always like this. By all accounts, he was a normal guy, friendly, hardworking, and well-liked in his community. At 31 years old, he had built a stable life in Surrey, British Columbia, Canada, working as a foreman for a construction company. He had no known enemies, no criminal record, and no history of mental illness. But then, something changed. It started in the early summer of 1996. Friends and family noticed he was acting strangely, restless, paranoid. He told his mother, Sandra, that someone was trying to kill him. He confided in coworkers that he was in serious danger, but the problem was that he never said who he was in danger from. Who were they? Some believed Blair may have gotten involved in something he wasn't supposed to, maybe unknowingly. While he had no criminal history, there were rumors that he had briefly associated with people involved in illegal dealings through his construction work. Perhaps he saw or overheard something he shouldn't have. Others point to a history of drug use. While Blair wasn't known to be a heavy user, some believe he may have had a bad reaction to a substance, triggering paranoia and delusions. But Blair's paranoia only escalated. He stopped sleeping, convinced someone would come for him in the night, often describing how they would stab him and kill him. He told people at work that he wouldn't be around much longer. He became so unsettled that his boss had to send him home early one day. Then came the first major red flag. On Friday, July 5th, 1996, Blair emptied his safe deposit box at the bank. He took out thousands of dollars in cash, gold bars, platinum coins, and expensive jewelry. He was preparing to run. That same day, he attempted to enter the United States via ferry from Victoria, British Columbia, to Seattle, Washington. However, immigration officials flagged Blair as a potential drug courier due to the large amount of cash he was carrying. In the early morning hours of July 9th, Blair was found by Canadian Border Patrol officers attempting to cross the border on foot at the Pacific Highway border crossing. Despite these setbacks, Blair was determined to leave Canada. On July 9th, he rented a Nissan Altima in Vancouver and successfully crossed into the US by car the next day. Upon arriving in Seattle, he purchased a round-trip ticket to Frankfurt, Germany, where he had previously worked on a project for his stepfather's construction company and had dated a German woman. However, she later informed law enforcement that he had not contacted her about visiting. Strangely, Blair did not board the flight to Frankfurt. Instead, he exchanged his ticket for a one-way flight to Washington, D.C. Landing at Dulles Airport around 6:45 a.m. on July 10th, he rented a Toyota Camry and continued driving south, eventually arriving in Knoxville, Tennessee that evening. It was now July 10th, late afternoon, and his journey had taken a strange turn. At around 5:30 p.m., he pulled into a gas station. But there was a problem. He couldn't find his rental car keys. He told the clerk he was having difficulty with his car key and was unable to enter the vehicle. Gerald Sapp, an interstate repair service driver, was called to assist. Sapp quickly identified that Adams was attempting to use a key from his previous vehicle, a Nissan he had abandoned in Seattle, instead of the correct key for the Toyota Camry he was currently driving. Despite Sapp's suggestion to search his pockets for the correct key, Adams seemed confused and insisted he had the right one. Finding no resolution, Sapp arranged for the car to be towed to a local repair shop and gave Adams a ride to the Fairfield Inn, a nearby motel. Surveillance footage from the motel lobby showed him acting erratically. He paced back and forth for nearly 40 minutes, repeatedly entering and exiting the building. Each time he stepped outside, he would quickly glance around, scanning the parking lot, as if expecting someone to be there. But no one was. The motel clerk later recalled how nervous he seemed. He fumbled with his money, eventually handing over $100 in cash for a one-night stay, even though he had a credit card on him. When the clerk tried to give him his room key, Blair grabbed it hastily and walked off without waiting for further instructions. But the weird part is, Blair never went to his room. Instead, he was seen walking in and out of the lobby multiple times, each time looking more paranoid than before. Then, at 7:37 p.m., he suddenly walked out of the motel one final time, leaving everything behind. His bags, his ID, his money, all of it still inside his motel room. No one knows where he went after that. By the morning of July 11th, less than 12 hours later, Blair Adams was found dead. The morning of July 11th, 1996, just hours after Blair was last seen leaving his motel, a construction worker in an empty parking lot on Crosswood Boulevard noticed something strange: a dead body. There, lying half-dressed and barefoot, was Blair Adams, his body surrounded by scattered cash and valuables. US, Canadian, and German currency lay strewn across the ground, along with a fanny pack of gold and jewelry. But something was wrong. Blair's pants were inside out, his shoes removed, and his shirt ripped open. At first glance, there were no obvious fatal injuries, but closer examination told a different story. He had bruises, cuts, and scratches all over his body, as if he had been in a struggle. The cause of death? A severe blow to the stomach. The impact was strong enough to rupture his internal organs, something forensic experts say is extremely rare without a weapon. Even stranger, there were no defensive wounds, no sign that he had fought back. Yet, there were no signs of a robbery. His valuables were left untouched. But the weird part was that the motel key to room 205, the one Blair had checked into the night before, was missing. When authorities arrived at the scene, they were immediately puzzled by the bizarre nature of Blair Adams' death. At first, the lack of a murder weapon or gunshot wounds suggested that his death might have been accidental. But the severe blow to his stomach, powerful enough to rupture internal organs, made that theory unlikely. The money scattered around him, the valuables left untouched, and the missing motel key only deepened the mystery. This didn't look like a robbery. Detectives started retracing Blair's last known movements. They interviewed motel staff at the Fairfield Inn, who recalled his erratic behavior, how he kept pacing back and forth in the lobby, entering and exiting the building multiple times before finally heading to his room. Despite interviewing family, friends, and motel staff, police found no concrete leads, no DNA, no fingerprints, no witnesses, and no theory that made complete sense. The case eventually went cold. To this day, Blair Adams' death remains one of the strangest unsolved cases in American history.